Welcome, everyone. This is really an exciting day. My name is Stephen Zweig, and I'm the interim dean of the School of Medicine. And I'm really delighted to help to host this ceremony today, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here. Everybody really looks nice, especially these guys, right? Nice hats, too, by the way. So it's exactly 40 years ago this week that I walked across the same stage. And I was kind of getting scared because I knew that pretty soon that people were going to start calling me doctor. And having been the dean now for 6 weeks, I realize how hard it is to get into a new job. But there'll be plenty of help for you. And don't ever stop asking for help because you will do absolutely fine. And the University of Missouri has really provided me with a tremendous range of opportunities in my life, and I hope that it will do so for you as well. So today's a celebratory event, and we want you all to enjoy it. It's about you or someone you love who's about to become a physician. And the faculty and I are here to recognize and help you celebrate this absolutely tremendous achievement. I think it would be fine for you all to sit down. I have a great opportunity now to invite the Provost and the Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Lata Ramshan, to the podium to say a few words of welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean Zweig. And good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the Board of Curators, on behalf of President Choi, Chancellor Cartwright, and really on behalf of the entire campus administration, I want to say congratulations. Today, we have no other agenda other than to celebrate your success. Congratulations to all of you students, soon-to-be graduates, and then, of course, when you get that package in the mail from the Alumni Association and you send in your dues, Mizzou alumni. Today is a special day for several reasons. 94 of you are graduating today, of which 10 are from the Springfield campus, and this is our second year to celebrate the graduates from that campus. So a hearty congratulations to all of you. And if you think about it, 94 students, a university with about 29,000 students, a system with about 50,000 students, and if you take into account the number of physicians in the United States, that's less than 0.5% of the population, 0.5%. So clearly by numbers, you are outstandingly special. And if you are a parent, a friend, a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent, really a supporter of your graduate, I salute you. In a family of physicians, and having sat in your seat at my daughter's med school graduation, this is truly a special event like no other. This is where those graduating get the real doctor degree, as opposed to those of us with just a PhD. And frankly, you all, supporters, parents, friends, you were with your graduate every step, really, literally every step exam of the way. Through those tough courses, those tougher rotations, those late nights and more, and you probably realized that this profession of being a physician is really a calling. It is a calling, and for that reason, your support of your graduates only grew over time. There's a book I'm reading currently by Yuval Harari called Homo Sapiens. It was a bestseller a few years ago, where he talks about what makes us human beings different, and so for that reason special. What is it that we have that jellyfish or chimpanzees or woodpeckers don't? And he says about 70,000 years ago, it started with our ability to cooperate, to work together as teams, and to put the collective goal above the individual goal. And so what happens if you put 10,000 chimpanzees in a big football stadium, you get 10,000 chimpanzees and a lot of chaos. But you put that kind of an audience into a room, an auditorium, there's got to be some cause, something that's happening that's bigger than an individual person's goal. 250,000 people marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. There was no social media, no Google Maps, no one knew where it was, and yet they came there together to celebrate a cause that was larger than an individual goal. And it was all about a dream. And the reason I wanted to share this with you is that in many ways, your lives, graduates, will be about the dreams, the hope that you will bring to those whose lives you touch. You will care, you will heal, and you will give hope in ways that are above and beyond you that you cannot even imagine. And for that, the rest of us will be ever grateful to you. So be sure to use your skills wisely so you will be that which makes us human beings special. And I want to quote an MD, Thomas Naska. This was a quote my daughter shared with me last year. Thomas Naska spoke at the Georgetown Med School graduation. He's an MD, and he said, and I quote, "Every patient has a why. We need to listen, we need to hear it, so we can help them with the how so they can achieve it. You will learn about each person's unique why they want to live. That gives them the strength, the will to persist, to survive, to recover from life-threatening illness. Your soul, graduates, will be enriched by each person you care for. Pursue your calling with vigor, with commitment, with kindness, and whenever in doubt, remember the why that's in your hearts today," unquote. And when you leave this auditorium today and you fill in that paperwork and you become Tiger alumni, remember this: no matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter how far ahead in time it is, we will always be here for you. This institution is your home, and we're always here to support you. For that reason, I ask that you do 3 things. 1, always remember the values that are enshrined in our institutional DNA. Respect, responsibility, discovery, and excellence. I hope you never forget that. 2, always, on Fridays, and I know it's hard for you because you all wear those blue things, those outfits that really no one cares about, but please, on Fridays, wear black and gold. Don't forget that. Just wear black and gold socks, that's fine. And very importantly, when, not if, you become rich and famous, come back to this institution and give back to the School of Medicine. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Ramchan, for that fantastic message. And now we'll hear from Aaron Duan, who is a member of the class of 2019. Aaron was chosen by his classmates to offer a student welcome.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the graduating class of 2019 again. I kind of want to preface this speech by saying this is not necessarily going to be for the students, all these green people up here. This is more for the support, again, that we've gotten. It's for the parents and the people who walked through this with us. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Aaron Duan, but to my classmates, I'm known as Aaron. As Clem to the family who's with me here today, that's the Cavins. And I guess after today, though, I'm going to have to go by Dr. Aaron or Dr. Clem, something of that nature. You know, they both sound so good, I'm not sure which I'm going to use in practice yet. But the first thing that people like to ask is, I'm from Arizona, and they ask, you know, how'd you end up in Missouri? Well, the short answer is my wife was born and raised in St. Louis, and she dragged me here, or brought me here to Missouri. And I love it, I really do. Missouri's great. I've been here for 8 years now. I've been married for about 9, be 9 in just a few days. I've been married to this wonderful woman, Aaron. Her name is also Aaron. I'm not just repeating my own name. We thought that, it's not on my birth certificate, but we thought that it would be fair that I should take her first name if she has to take my last name. And that's pretty equitable, I think. But we've been married for 9 years, and we have 3 wonderful children. Aurora, Coraline, and Harrison. I see them smiling right now. They're the ones with the cigarettes if you can't see them. And really, three kids is the perfect number to have, if you're going to have kids. It's not too many, it's not too few. We have this great formation when we're walking out on the street. It's kid, parent, kid, parent, kid. It's just uniform. It's beautiful. And 3 is a great number. There are 3 points on a triangle, without which the pyramids on the Giza Plateau wouldn't exist. We wouldn't have that. What? 4. That's right. That's right. 2 months ago, we had our 4th kid. That's the most applause I've ever heard for that, for the record. Normally, people just give us a look like, well, that's one way to live your life. But 4 is great. Actually, let me reiterate then. 4, there are 4 points on a square, without which you couldn't have a box, which means there wouldn't be 2-day Amazon shipping. So 4 is a wonderful number. But really, 4 kids is too many. That's one for every year of med school. I want you to think about that. That's why I had to pick such a short residency, because at that rate, I'd have 13 kids by the time I'm board certified. And that's just absurd. So we're slowing down, I think. Right, sweetie? Yes, okay. But I want to say that, having children it's wonderful. It's quite the experience. It's frightening. It's draining, but it's also enlightening and rewarding. You take this little ball of flesh, this squirming, grunting, weird little humanoid, and you smile at them when they puke on you. And in no other relationship is that the case. You're never like, oh, Aunt Laura just puked on me. No, that's when you stop inviting people to family reunions. But you get to watch them experience life for the first time. You get to watch them appreciate all the small things that we take for granted. And you get to watch them grow. And as a parent, you just want your kids to be good people. You want them to be okay. I look back on all these moments that I've had with my 2 girls and my oldest boy, walking with them, holding their hands, teaching them, encouraging them, but most importantly, listening to them. Being present in the moment and hearing their thoughts and ideas. Those are the most important things that you can do for your children when they're growing. One moment stands out in my mind, and it's with my oldest daughter. During my surgery clerkship, needless to say, it was time intensive. I had very little time at home, and what time was spent at home was spent sleeping or studying, mostly sleeping. And my amazing wife took the brunt of that. Stoically, managing the home, making sure the kids were happy and safe. And my oldest one, though, she just blew me away. This is how amazing my kid is. She woke me up one morning and she led me out of our bedroom, and I can still remember how soft and warm her hand felt as she held mine. I can still remember how delicately she grasped my fingers as she led me into the kitchen. And I said to her, sweetie, what's going on? And she said, can you help me make some breakfast for everyone? I don't want to wake Mom up. She's tired and she needs a break. And she was 5 when she said that, which means she really felt that, which means she was that sensitive and understanding of our whole situation. And it was one of those moments as a father where you realize that your kid really is someone special, someone caring and compassionate. And You know, as parents, we hope basically three things for our kids: that they're happy, that they're successful in whatever it is they decide is important for them, and that they find something that they love. So how incredible must it be for all of you to look up here, not right now because you're looking at the backs of their heads, but in a moment, and see on their faces that that's come true for all of them. They're happy with the choice that they've made, the things that have led them here. They're doing something that they love, and they're successful at it. Those are the three things you really just want for all of your children. And as I look at the audience today, again, I want you to try and remember, see if you can't find a moment like I had with my daughter, where you were holding their hand and they said or did something that kind of blew you away and let you know that you were raising them right. That's an incredible thing. I want you to think back on all these small moments when you listen to them, watch them, and encourage them in small ways, because it's all these small moments, these little wonders that we have with our children that form and mold who they are today. So I know the whole thing is about us today, graduating, but for a moment I want everybody to do a big round of applause for all the parents in the audience today who got us here. And one more time, I think that every one of you out there should be damn proud of these people, because I've never met a group with this much talent, fortitude, and compassion. And I'm honored to be walking with all of you today, because you know I'm the worst of you. So, beyond this, I want to also take a moment to recognize all the friends, family, spouses, significant others who walked with us through this, because we might have been studying our butts off, but you guys are the ones I don't envy, because you had to listen to us complain about it for 4 years. So that is quite an achievement in and of itself. And then I'm just going to take one more moment. I just, have a podium and I have this big microphone, and my family's out here, so I want to say a few things to them. For me personally, I want to say to my wife, you're incredible, and our kids really do have the best mom in the world. To Andy and Jill, my parents-in-law, I love you, and we're just incredibly grateful to have you in our lives. To Grandpa and Grandma, you might not be my grandparents, but there wouldn't be a home in Missouri here without you. And to my children, life would be meaningless without you. Aurora, Coraline, Harrison, and kid number 4. So let's get the show on the road, because after this, I'm going to Disney World. So, thank you.
Well, this really is a special day, and each of you has much to be proud of. And as Aaron so wonderfully described, you have a lot to be thankful for. The love, support, money, and cheerleading that you've received from others. And I know that your joy and tears and feelings of fulfillment are shared with other people in this audience. So I'd like you to stand and face your family and friends. Let's take a moment to acknowledge those who love, care, and provide all manner of support and were instrumental in you being here today. So would the parents and spouses and partners of today's graduates please stand? And now with the grandparents, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, children, friends, other relatives also stand, and so that you too may be thanked. You can all sit down now. We're going to do this a lot, so just... It's really great having you all here. There's another group of people who deserve some gratitude of the graduates, for without them you would have no degrees to be awarded today. And these are the folks sitting behind me. So would the emeritus professors, faculty, and administration of the School of Medicine and MU Healthcare, please stand. And you can sit down. And now I'd like to introduce some special guests seated on the stage. And I'll ask them to stand and remain standing until I name all of them, and then you can clap for them. So first we have Dr. William Hines, is an alumnus, the class of 1984, philanthropist and regular attendee of all graduations. We have Dr. Dave Barb, who is an alumnus, also class of 1980, Vice President of the Regional Operations of Mercy in Springfield and the past President of the American Medical Association. We have Dr. Bert Bachrach, who's Chief of Staff for MU Healthcare. Next is Dr. Ted Choma, Chair of University Physicians. Dr. Stephen Witt, also an alumnus, class of 84, and he is the Senior Associate Dean for Clinical Affairs and the Chief Clinical Officer for MU Healthcare. Next is Dr. Deborah Koivunen, Senior Associate Dean for Graduate Medical Education. And then Dr. William Fay, Senior Associate Dean for Research. Next is Dr. Stephen Kaitan. He is the Chief Wellness Officer for MU Healthcare and the School of Medicine. Dr. Michael Lefevre is next, Chair of the Department of Family and Community Medicine. Where are we next? Is Dr. Stannard here? I don't see Dr. Stannard. Oh, yes. Then we have Dr. James Stannard, Chair of the Department of Orthopedic Surgery. He's also Associate Dean and Chief Medical Officer for Clinical Strategic Initiatives. Dr. Douglas Miller is Chair of the Department of Pathology and Anatomical Sciences. And then Dr. Carrie McDonald, who's Chair of the Department of Medical Pharmacology and Physiology. Next is Dr. Kevin Stavlio-Carroll, Chair of the Department of Surgery. And Dr. Tama Franklin, who is an alumna, class of 1994, and is also OB-GYN Associate Clerkship Director at our Springfield campus. And finally, Deborah Ward, Director of the J. Autolades Health Sciences Library. Sorry about that. Next, I would also like you to meet leaders in the Dean's office who are responsible for the educational programs and who will be assisting in the ceremonies today. We have Dr. Hosokawa to my right, Senior Associate Dean for Education. Dr. Lane Young Walker is Associate Dean for Student Programs. Dr. Kevin Kane, Associate Dean for Education Improvement. Dr. Kathleen Quinn, Associate Dean for Rural Programs. And finally, Dr. Mark Costley, Associate Dean for the Springfield Clinical Campus. Thank you. So the class has had an opportunity to select a member to address them on this day. And this graduating class of 2019 has chosen Britt Halperin to come and speak to them. Britt.
So what Aaron Duan said to you is true. He really is the worst of us. A class of elementary students takes a field trip to the Museum of Adulthood. While the group rounds a corner, 3 children duck into the dim wing of grown-up preparation. They wander past exhibits of tax filing, tire change, and family road trips, where they stop to consider the colorful algorithm of how to decide whether or not to turn this car around right now. They settle in front of a figure who looks like every adult they've ever seen, all at the same time. Their parents, aunt, grandfather, teachers, preacher, neighbor, librarian, mail carrier, they're all there with a warm smile, hands on the knees, in a slight crouch. The plaque at the feet of the every adult reads, "The question." Description. This question is one you must learn to answer and one you must learn to ask. It is among the commonest queries of all youth in the United States of America. With this, the every adult turns to each of the children and says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" One answers, "A magician." Another says, "A firefighter." The last draws her eyebrows together before answering, "A race car." "Driver?" says the every adult. "Nope, just a race car." For many of us, the answer to the question has always been a doctor. We've wanted to join the ranks of inspiring physicians such as Dr. William Carlos Williams, Dr. Paul Farmer, Dr. Deborah Howenstein, Dr. Dre, Dr. Pepper. The list is long, glamorous, and occasionally carbonated. And it's a great profession. Doctors can make positive impacts on, individuals, communities, and societies. We can help heal and sometimes even cure, play positive roles during crises, prolong quality of life, bear witness to some of the most personal and intimate moments in a patient's life, have no trouble with wobbly-wheeled shopping carts, fly short distances when no one is looking, turn the lights on and off with our minds, and wear white after Labor Day. And finally, after years of study, sacrifice, and support, we've come to graduation. Today, when we become medical doctors. To those of you who always wanted to be doctors when you grow up, congratulations, you've made it. To those of you who always wanted to be a race car, congratulations, because you've been a little blown off course, but you've done really well for yourself. And to everyone who helped bring us here today, congratulations. Your hard work paid off. From here on out, your weird lumps, rashes, and sprained joints will now be examined by doctors, like real ones. So now what? I'd be willing to bet that after today, not many of us will ever be asked the question again. Being grown up certainly means different things to different people, but despite all the jokes about millennials, failure to launch, and all things #adulting, we are doctors after all. So a convincing argument can be made that we've been grown up for at least some time now. And since we are something and we are grown up, the question of what we want to be when we grow up is no longer relevant. After a certain point in life, nobody asks us what we want to be any longer, probably because we're too old or because we've arrived. And I think this is a problem with the question as it is. What do you want to be when you grow up emphasizes an endpoint. We're asked to look to a fairly distant and fairly abstract future and not much beyond. And so emphasizing profession over personhood, the question doesn't help us much with the short term, nor does it serve us once we become whatever it is we want to be. As Dr. Zweig mentioned, how great do we look today? It really looks like some medieval fabric maker's kid ran in and said, need something for dress for the graduation, clean vestment. Anyway, I do think it's important that we continually examine our lives. So let's change the question and let's make it relevant again. Rather than asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? Let's ask ourselves simply, who do you want to be? We should be proud of our achievements and our work. I am immensely proud of every last one of you. But who we are goes deeper than all of these things. By who, I mean, what type of person do you want to be? What qualities will define you and act as a framework for your decisions in everyday life? When someone is said to be funny or reliable or honorable, these are qualities of who they are. Seen this way, who we are moves with us as we traverse what we are, whether that's a doctor, a mother, a researcher, teacher, daughter. With who we are, we spend our time also and energy defining ourselves as a qualitative person, not strictly a specific profession. Who do you want to be pertains to any specialty, subspecialty, to those beginning their careers, to those who may be stopping practice, and even beyond the field of medicine. It's for everyone here today, and even once we've arrived. The poet Omar Khayyam was born on May 18th, 1048, 971 years ago today. He said, "Be glad with this moment. This moment is your life." You can make choices about your life. And if lives are composed of moments, and moments combine into days, then each day you can choose who you want to be. And as an answer to this new question, I propose intentionally developing the following 4 qualities to define who you want to be: wisdom, hope, courage, and generosity. Inspired mainly by an ancient Greek ideal of living, I believe this concept and these qualities have stood the test of time and still apply to us all today. 4 characteristics, like the 4 chambers of the heart, feeding one another and bound to one another. The first thing we should strive to be is wise. One piece of wisdom which has been given to me worth working on: don't try to be happy. What I mean to say is that happiness and joy aren't things we can make. Rather, they're temporary states we can experience which are discovered or uncovered when we do work to make them flourish. The key is to building the circumstances in which happiness, joy, and fulfillment can spontaneously take root in the nourishing soil of dedication to doing things worthwhile. See those states, recognize them, and celebrate them. Be grateful for the reasons you can experience them. Another example in this category is related and has to do with the popular just one more thing mentality. Just one more hoop, just one more fellowship, just 3 more years. This mentality helps us get through difficult periods of training and our careers, but it also puts us in danger of following the prescribed tracks leading to arrival and success until we get to the end of the line. Again, we should be proud of our achievements, but we must be conscious of our motivations. We've all heard it on countless cautionary tales and deathbed confessions that life moves fast and the chase for status and money aren't worthwhile. Time and time again, we know what matters in the end. It's people and place, it's community, it's love, and participating in society that matter. There's space for you and there's space for me. And out beyond so much of this superlative, cutthroat culture, there's a dinner being prepared by a community that helps one another. I'll meet you there, and we can all pitch in. Secondly, we must be hopeful. It's easy to become weary because of so much injustice in the world. It's easy to turn away from suffering because it seems hopeless, because it seems like we won't be able to make a big enough difference. But whereas it might be naive to be overly optimistic, we should allow hope to motivate us. Hope is a key component of justice because it can inspire action to reduce the space between the pain of what's happening and a justice for all ideal. And every bit of that subtraction means a difference to a person or to the planet. We're not going to do anything if we don't believe we're able to make at least a little impact. We owe it to those for whom justice is at least in part dependent on our decision to hope. Rebecca Solnit says in her work, Hope in the Dark, "Hope is not a lottery ticket you can sit on the sofa and clutch feeling lucky. It is an axe you break down doors with in an emergency. Hope should shove you out the door because it will take everything you have to steer the future away from endless war, the annihilation of Earth's treasures, and the grinding down of the poor and marginal. To hope is to give yourself to the future, and that commitment to the future is what makes the present inhabitable." Be hopeful, and don't wait for the right circumstance to be good. On May 18th, 1963, 66 years ago today, Jackie Cochran became the first woman ever to break the sound barrier. There's still enormous amounts of work to be done towards the justice of breaking barriers for women and others, whether for each of us that means empowering, helping, partnering, or simply getting out of the way. Third, we should be courageous people. Courage means putting something at risk and being willing to give yourself for someone or something else. So why don't we work to have the courage to love and to be loved? This takes cultivating vulnerability, which is another noble trait. The poet Khalil Gibran says that love crowns us and also crucifies us. Love can be exultant and devastating, and it can be both at once. So we must protect ourselves as well with the company and counsel of mentors, family, and friends. And we must also, thank you. And we must also know ourselves deeply, and I believe love ourselves deeply. If this doesn't take courage, I don't know what does. Fourth, we should be generous. Yes, we should share our financial wealth with other people and worthy causes, not as charity, but as part of our responsibility to one another. Generosity also means more than giving money. The word generous can mean wide open and expansive, and implies a readiness to give and receive. Thinking about it this way, be generous also in trying to understand people with differing opinions. Be generous with your time and attention to those who ask for it and need it. And be generous towards new experiences and new opportunities. Wisdom, hope, courage, and generosity. 4 qualities like the 4 chambers of the heart. Or because we use acronyms to remember everything, WHG. I think 4 chambers is easier. We'll go with that. And in one way, like the heart, when functioning properly, these 4 qualities animate us. We all have privilege and we all have limitations and obstacles. So be intentional about driving the choices you can make. Be responsible for what you can. I believe that every day we choose to answer the question, who do you want to be? And by developing personal qualities of wisdom, hope, courage, and generosity, we'll not only prove ourselves to be better people no matter what we do, we'll also more effectively contribute to the success of our important institutions, our patients, our colleagues, and our families. On May 18th, 2019, we're doctors. Now, who do you want to be? Thank you.
Thank you, Britt. Outstanding. Our invited commencement speaker today is Dr. Joel Schenker. Dr. Schenker is an associate professor of neurology at the University of Missouri School of Medicine. After completing his bachelor's degree in psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, he completed a master's and a PhD and an MD at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana. During his residency in neurology at the University of Virginia, he completed a cognitive behavioral neurology fellowship at the University of Florida. After serving on the University of Virginia Department of Neurology faculty, he came to Columbia, and he joined a private practice in neurology, then subsequently joined the University of Missouri Department of Neurology in 2011. Dr. Schenker is an outstanding physician, and he's a scholar. He's a remarkable teacher, and he's a very accomplished individual.
He is also the recipient of the Hickman Award, which is the highest teaching award that the University of Missouri gives out. Now, the script that they gave me is 4 pages long of Dr. Schenker's accomplishments. If I read all of these, we're going to have to order from Jimmy John's. So I'm going to skip to some comments that the students made when they nominated him for the Hickman Teaching Award. I feel incredibly fortunate that I got to work with Dr. Schenker in clinic. He is one of the best physicians I have worked with during my 3rd year. He clearly loves to teach and is very invested in our education. Another student said, Dr. Schenker has a phenomenal rapport with his patients and is one of the finest exemplars of patient-centered care I have seen. He is a true role model and someone I hope to emulate as I go through the rest of my medical training. Another student said, Dr. Schenker is by far the most effective lecturer and educator that we have had in our 1st year of medical education. I do not know a single person who left lecture and did not speak highly or praise his lecture. He communicates effectively, genuinely, interactively, and with great enthusiasm. So you can see that even leaving out 4 pages of detail, this is a very popular and accomplished academic physician. So please join me in welcoming the graduating class of 2019's choice for their commencement speaker, Dr. Joel Schenker.
Provost, deans, chairs, fellow faculty, honored guests, family and friends, graduates. I will never forget the first time I declared a patient dead. A few days after medical school graduation, it was my first night on call, a nurse paged me. Patient had died. In a hospital, you're not dead until a doctor says so. And my ears heard the nurse tell me I was a doctor. And so I could pronounce the patient. I put on my long, doctor's length white coat, crisp creases unstained with the fresh smell of clean cloth, pockets filled with medical tools and unthumbed guidebooks. I knew the mechanics of what to do. The transaction is that a nurse asks you to declare a patient dead. You talk to the nurse, you read the chart, you get the story, examine the patient. Got to examine the patient. There could be a bad problem if you don't. And you write a note. In those days, that was pen and paper. In the history books you'll read, they used to do this. They would write. Record the date and time, and so I did these things. And because I said so, the man was dead. What I remember most are not the mechanics of the transactions I did. I remember thinking about that man. What had he felt or thought that day or that week? What kind of person was he? What were his regrets? What was undone? Who did he love? Did he play baseball? Did he eat Brussels sprouts? Where did he grow up? What was his favorite color? I realized I had never been that close to a death event. And in a way, I thought that was kind of odd, because we're born as often as we die, and I'd been at or near birth events several times. So I started to think, well, where in life have I ever been exposed to a death event? It wasn't real life. What about television and movies? And all I could think of is The Wizard of Oz, where Dorothy's house falls on the Wicked Witch of the East, and the Munchkin coroner comes and unfurls the scroll. Remember? You saw The Wizard of Oz, right? Okay. You know, all the pop culture references I have are not pop anymore, so I don't know what y'all know. And the coroner says, she's not only really dead, she's really most sincerely dead. You remember that line? And all that night, amidst the solemnity of being a new doctor and a man dying, I couldn't get that dang song out of my head. I remember being in a silent elevator. You know how when you're in an elevator you stand like this and you look up at the numbers like it's very important, you know, and no one talks. And we're all doing that, and I'm going, da 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 da, all night long. So why did I tell you that story? I did it because I want to poke you. Because you see, I have no recall for the tasks I dispatched with that night. The medical facts, what I wrote, what I said, I don't recall any of it. I'm sure I did it right. He really had passed away. These are the transactional parts of being a physician. What I recall about that story is how I felt, how I wanted to relate to a fellow human being, even a dead one. Not transactional. These are the relational parts of being a physician. To be sure, the practice of medicine involves transactions. People come to you, you do things. Sometimes you get paid. I value transactions. Do them. Be good at them. But these transactions, being right, getting the diagnosis, the treatment, it's not enough. It's necessary, but it is not sufficient to being a good physician. You are going to have to be more than transactional. You're going to have to be relational. You're going to have to relate to people, lots of people. Being relational is the gold standard against you will be judged as a physician. Why? Well, one answer is practical. You don't have any choice. Transactional medicine is being taken from us. Throughout society, we're at a pivot point in human history, as transactions that were once done by people are being outsourced to computers and smart technology that collect and act on vast amounts of data. According to a report by Forrester Research, in 2008, the world then had over 1 billion, billion with a B, personal computers, and over 2 billion by 2015. According to the website Statista, with over 2.7 billion smartphones in the world, add in tablets, voice-activated smart devices like Alexa, webcams and other Wi-Fi enabled technologies, and we have almost 27 billion internet connected devices in the world. In 2025, that number's 75 billion. 10 for every human alive on the planet right now. And these devices are getting really good with cognitive computer systems like IBM's Watson or Google's DeepMind. Machines learn from experience. They can, in effect, think. The result is that computers do transactions that used to depend on people. For example, 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to fly out of St. Louis. I got a text on my phone, flight's canceled. Looked at the text, it says, push on this link. I did it. An app comes up. Here are some flights you can choose from. I touched one. Says, you sure? Yeah. And I get a confirmation number and I'm done. Couple of button clicks on my iPhone and a canceled flight is rebooked. Now, not that long ago, I would have had to call people. And I would have to hope I called the right people and that they would answer the phone and do it right. I wouldn't even know, perhaps, until I got to the airport. Now those transactions are done for me without a person. They're faster and they're better. Even our most cherished societal institutions are affected by this current version of an industrial revolution. I've read about how even places of worship are changing, for example. It used to be that temples, mosques, churches, and synagogues could survive merely by being transactional. People came to support such places because they had to. That's where you had to go to listen to a spiritual leader or study sacred texts or find a hard-to-find religious book, get a religious education, hear a service, arrange ceremonies for baby naming and funerals and weddings. No more. You can piece together many such transactions with electronic readers like Kindle and Nook, content-loaded web pages, podcasts, live streaming apps, and there are internet sites where you can go and find a PRN clergy for hire. So how will places of worship survive? The answer I'm reading is that you have to be more than transactional. You have to foster a community of real, live, meaningful human interactions. To survive, even places of worship in the 21st century have to be both transactional and relational. So too is it for physicians. It used to be that you had to see a physician to find a person who knew medical literature or to get a diagnosis based on sound criteria, to have a medical matter managed properly, to get a safe prescription. It used to be that medical procedures depended only on physicians. Now, many such transactions occur without a physician. An internet search can scour every article ever published. And in an instant, you can be reading a manuscript on your computer or smart device. Electronic medical records list every medication a patient is on and instantly lists all the drug-drug interactions that are known in the medical literature. Professional societies publish practice parameters for how to handle almost any medical topic. Expert panels come up with consensus criteria for diagnoses, and all of this is available for anyone to access on UpToDate or Wikipedia, which your patients are going to read when they come to see you in the office, if they even come. Nanotechnology and robotic devices can now do some of the mechanical tasks that were once limited to a surgeon's hands. Computers can read EKGs better than many doctors, certainly better than me. Machines can scan and tabulate cell counts or other lab samples. Able non-physician clinicians can see people in my grocery store in a little health cubicle and give a diagnosis and treatment, fill out a medical form. You can use questionnaires online to get medications without ever seeing a physician. So if you think that all a physician does is transactions, you see a patient, you make a diagnosis, you get it right, guess what? If that's all you do, you're going to be replaced. In a 2013 study in the journal, this is getting better, don't worry. In a 2013, I'm setting up the problem, okay. In a 2013 study in the journal Artificial Intelligence in Medicine, using real data from 500 actual patients, simulated computer decisions, improved patient outcomes 41.9% at a cost savings of 58.5% compared to decisions of real human physicians. Do you think a clinic administrator might pay attention to findings like that? A recent article in Forbes concluded that as data and analytics drive decisions about medical testing, diagnosing, prescribing, treating, then with passive sensors and active data mining, computers will replace 80% of what doctors do. So says Forbes. Now you might cringe when I say these things, and well, you should. You might say, no way this happens, or no way it should happen. Well, you're right, shouldn't. But it's happening. But what I'm saying should not scare you. This is an opportunity. As computers do more of our daily transactions, including in medicine, people are already starting to crave people, folks. People will want the part of this that only humans can do. You can soar as a physician if you are relational. That's your opportunity. In the society being reassembled outside those doors right now, those who are merely transactional are being replaced, whether they work at Southwest Airlines or a place of worship or a medical clinic. You have to be more than transactional, you have to be relational. So what do I mean by being relational? By being relational, I mean you make a personal connection. By being relational, I mean you care, you actually care about another person, what they think, know, want, feel. I mean you do that so genuinely that the other person knows you care. They know it to their core. By relational, I mean you sit down in a chair across from the other person, face to face, knees to knees, looking forward, leaning in. By relational, I mean you listen more than and before you talk. By relational, I mean you want that other person to be convinced of these three things. 1, you are listening. 2, you care about them. And 3, they can trust you. To be a successful physician, you have to relate to people. Now, being relational can be simple. This does not need to be difficult. And if you're not an outgoing person, that's just fine. I'm a cognitive neurologist, so I see patients with altered mental function and broken brains. Everyone's afraid. No one wants to see me. So a family brought a man, had dementia, and he was just aching to find a way not to come back. Now, he was a huge football fan of Ohio State. Sorry, the Ohio State. Some of you know. Now, I had studied at another Big Ten school at University of Illinois. This is several years ago. And it happened that just before I saw him, just a few weeks earlier, the Illinois football team had gone into Columbus and in a huge upset beat the Buckeyes in Columbus. This was a big deal if you're an Ohio State football fan. Now you're no longer in national contention. It was also a big deal to Illinois fans because we won in Columbus. I wanted to break the ice. I wanted to establish some rapport, so I said, now I went to Illinois. Is it okay if I talk with you? So a few days later, his son called. The patient wasn't doing well, having some more agitation with his dementia. I said, well, let's bring him back in clinic. We'll talk about it. Well, long pause. The son said, well, doc, I got to tell you, Dad's not coming back. So why? Well, because you went to Illinois. I said, are you serious? Yeah. So he agreed to let me prescribe a medication. I gave him quetiapine. It's off-label. Sorry, you know. Good medicine. Full disclosure, I don't have any, yeah. And he settled out some and came back, scheduled an appointment to come back. But I knew we were going to have this issue. We had to get past this. Now, out at the Columbia Mall, I don't know if it's still there, there was a store called Lids, right? You've heard of it? And they sell hats, sports hats. So I went and bought the most obnoxious, glaring, ostentatious Ohio State football hat. $25, never got it back. And I brought it with me into the office. My nurse roomed the patient, let me know he was there. He was sitting down, arms crossed, legs folded, grumpy, unhappy. I cracked the door open. You ready? Yeah. And I burst in wearing the Ohio State hat. He laughed, clapped his hands, family happy. Done. We were golden the rest of the time that I took care of him. He lived a couple years before he died. I did all my transactions correctly. I would have anyway. But I don't think they cared. Because of that awful hat, I could do no wrong. I reached him as a fellow human being. We got along famously. And his family were happy. Why? Because they felt listened to, cared about, and they could trust me. And a computer doesn't do that. To be a successful physician, you have to be able to relate to people. Being relational applies to how you treat your colleagues. Years ago, I was on call, I was the neurologist on call. It's hard to be in a good mood when you're on call. Because every time your pager goes off, a pile of work gets taller, and you get further and further behind. I'd already been summoned to see several patients when my pager went off. Hospital operator said, "Please hold for Dr. So-and-so from blah, blah." This was never good news. I'm on hold. I started to think about the other doctor who was going to be coming on the phone. Now, chances are this person was busy too. I don't think they were sitting in their office and said, what can we make life harder for Schenker? What can we do here? Chances are that person needed some kind of help. You know what it's like to need help, right? Cable TV won't work, cell phone won't work. You just want it handled, right? So the doctor picked up and said, "This is Dr. So-and-so. I'm calling to ask you for a favor." I'm not sure what got into me, but I said, "The answer is yes. What's the favor?" Whoa. I was really not in as good a mood as that comment implied. But Dr. So-and-so was so impressed. I hadn't even done whatever the transaction was that she asked me to do. I don't remember what it was, to be honest. That was almost 15 years ago. And she has sent me countless patients, often asking for me specifically. Our interactions were imbued with such positivity, talking me up to the patient. Whenever I suggested anything, she happily facilitated. So as a result, patient care was better. All because Dr. So-and-so felt listened to, cared about, and she can trust me. To be a successful physician, you have to relate to people. Being relational means that you think about this question: what service am I being asked to give? That's a deceptively subtle and important question that is often really not obvious. When I was first in practice, a patient came to me with hand tremor. I diagnosed benign essential tremor. I started to write a prescription for, what would you use? Propranolol, very good. Okay, you can graduate. The patient was upset. "Why do you doctors always push medicine? I didn't come for pills. I wanted to know if I had Parkinson's disease. What's the matter with you?" Oh, well, okay. So when the next patient came with hand tremor and I thought it was essential tremor, well, I knew the code. I knew what to do. Good news, this isn't Parkinson's. It's just essential tremor. You don't have to come back. "What's the matter with you? What kind of a doctor are you? You're not going to try and treat me? What's the matter with doctors these days? They won't give medicines for people who are suffering. Aren't you going to treat it?" Different people want different things. It's just that simple. And they're not going to tell you what it is they want some of the time. In fact, what the patient wants may be different than what a family member wants, which may be different than what other physicians involved in their care want. Each of these folks may not realize that it's not obvious what they want of you. So you have to be relational. You read the situation, you talk, you ask back and forth, and sleuth out what it is that people think you're there to do. When you do, patients, families, physicians feel listened to, cared about, and they can trust you. And finally, good doctors teach, and good teachers are relational. And teach you shall. The word doctor comes from a Latin word, docere, to teach. You teach colleagues, you teach patients. I hope some of you will teach medical students and other medical learners. I like teaching. You ask good questions. A student asked me once, isn't it ironic that Lou Gehrig got Lou Gehrig's disease? Teaching almost definitionally requires you to be relational, because helping a learner learn requires discovering something from the learner's point of view. You have to think about what it's like not to know what you, in fact, do know. That's hard. Think about this for a moment. Do you truly remember what it was like to be a first-year medical student? You remember some of it. But chances are back then there were things that really mattered to you or worried you or scared you, and now you just don't care much. Right? Because whatever it was that you were worried about, you either solved it or didn't, but here you are graduating medical school, so ha on them. It's hard to put yourself back into a situation where you were, a few stages of life ago. Couldn't you be a great college student or high school student now? I mean, you blow it away. But it just doesn't matter to you anymore, because you're here now. That's a little bit what teaching is like. You have to be able to think about what the learner knows and thinks and understands. And that's hard to do because you aren't standing in that same spot. That's being relational. And so I come to the end. I've enjoyed coming to these graduations, sitting up here each year. I'm a sucker for the pomp and circumstance, the music, and happy graduates and smiling friends. But I must say, when you sit on the stage, I can't hear much. The loudspeakers face out like this. I don't know if they've heard anything I've said. So while I'm really grateful that you asked me to speak, I'm even more grateful that I finally got to hear a commencement address. I remember well my graduation from medical school. My daughter Rachel was not quite 4. I wanted her to come, and I wanted her to know it was a good thing. It was a big deal. And I said, Rachel, this is a wonderful thing, and when they'll have a time where they'll say everybody's name and you hear Daddy's name, and you'll say, hooray, that's my daddy. Now, I meant that metaphorically. And in this very, serious kind of ceremony in a darkly lit room, my name was announced, and in the background, this angelic voice would say, hooray, 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 that's my daddy. That's the only thing I remember from my med school graduation. So in a moment, you're going to come across this stage, and I hope your families, like Rachel, will know this is a good thing. That said, it is kind of sad for me to see you sitting in these chairs. Because for so many of you, even if briefly, I did get to know you, and you've mattered to me. And not just like that, you're leaving. So I hope you'll keep in touch. You still matter to me. My message today has been that you have to be more than transactional. You have to be a person who relates to the people you serve and the people with whom you work. Now go do it. Seek out ways to listen to people, care about them, and earn their trust. Have a good life.
So thank you, Dr. Schenker. So far today, we've had the opportunity to listen to 4 speakers, each of whom have delivered important messages that we should all take to heart. And so now is your chance to make a series of commitments yourselves. Many of us think of the Hippocratic Oath at medical school graduation, but it turns out there are several that are administered in medical schools. And many feel that the more contemporary wording of these alternatives is preferable. For many years at the University of Missouri School of Medicine, the students have selected the Oath of Geneva. And this oath is printed on the back of the commencement program. Because of the significance and solemnity of this moment, I will ask the students, the platform party, and the audience to rise, if you're able, and follow along. And as I administer the Oath of Geneva to the class of 2019, I will ask them to repeat after me. At the time of being admitted as a member of the medical profession, I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of humanity. I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of humanity. The health and well-being of my patient will be my first consideration. The health and well-being of my patient will be my first consideration. I will respect the dignity and autonomy of my patient. I will respect the dignity and autonomy of my patient. Thanks. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life. I will not permit considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will not permit considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to intervene between my duty and my patient. I will respect the secrets that are confided in me, even after the patient has died. I will respect the secrets that are confided in me, even after the patient has died. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity and in accordance with good medical practice. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity and in accordance with good medical practice. I will foster the honorable and noble traditions of the medical profession. I will foster the honor and noble traditions of the medical profession. I will give to my teachers, colleagues, and students the respect and gratitude that is their due. I will give to my teachers, colleagues, and students the respect and gratitude that is their due. I will share my medical knowledge for the benefit of the patient and the advancement of health care. I will share my medical knowledge for the benefit of the patient and the advancement of health care. I will attend to my own health, well-being, and abilities in order to provide care of the highest standard. I will attend to my own health, well-being, and abilities in order to provide care of the highest standard. I will not use my medical knowledge to violate human rights, civil liberties, even under threat. I will not use my medical knowledge to violate human rights and civil liberties, even under threat. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. Now I'd like to ask Dr. Michael Hosokawa, Senior Associate Dean for Education, to come to the podium to lead the next part of this ceremony.
Please be seated. We're nearing the time at which each graduate will be recognized. One by one, members of the class of 2019 will be called to the stage to receive the doctoral hood and the Doctor of Medicine diploma. Wearing a hood as part of the academic regalia signifies achievement of the doctoral degree. The color of the velvet outside the hood signifies the degree, in this case green for medicine. In addition, the silk inside in the lining shows the colors of the school from which the wearer has received the degree. Now, members of the class of 2019 will receive hoods with black and gold. This lining is the same as many of the faculty on stage who are proud alumni of this medical school. Each year, the graduating class honors members of the faculty by electing them as investiture marshals. The investiture marshal assists in the donning of the hood. It's a real honor to be selected as an investiture marshal. It's my privilege to introduce the investiture marshals for the class of 2019. Of particular note, all three individuals are graduates of the MU School of Medicine and also completed their residency training here. So as I call your name, please stand. Dr. Carla Dyer. Dr. Dyer is Associate Professor in the Department of Medicine. She received her MD degree from the University of Missouri School of Medicine in 1998. Then went on to complete her internal medicine pediatrics residency here at MU. Dr. Dyer has been a medical education curriculum leader for many years, directing the interprofessional and introduction to patient care components of the curriculum. She has also been the Department of Medicine Clerkship Director. She has received numerous education and teaching awards, just a few of these being the Medical Student Affairs Council, Excellence in Education, Most Outstanding Clinical Educator Award, the Curriculum Board's Outstanding Preclinical Curriculum Innovation Award, and the Outstanding Block Director in the Preclinical Curriculum. Dr. Dyer's commitment to humanism in medicine was recognized when she was awarded the Leonard Toe Humanism in Medicine Faculty Award presented by the Arnold Gold Foundation. Next is Dr. Nathan Buki. Dr. Buki is Associate Professor in the Department of Child Health and Division Chief for General Academic Pediatrics. Dr. Buki received his MD degree from the University of Missouri in 2000 and then went on to complete his pediatric residency here at MU. Dr. Buki has been a medical education leader for many years, particularly in the area of admissions and student programs, and a medical student advisor. He has been very active in our curriculum as a preceptor and a facilitator. He is the faculty counselor for the MU Gamma chapter of Alpha Omega Alpha Medical Honors Society. Next is Dr. Michael McCullough. Dr. McCullough is faculty member in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology and Women's Health. Dr. McCullough received his MD degree from the University of Missouri in 1997, and he completed his residency here at MU. Dr. McCullough has been recognized many times for his teaching and contributions to the educational programs. Dr. McCullough received the Paul J. Sun, MD, Distinguished Faculty Award, and twice received Excellence in Education Most Outstanding Preclinical Educator Award. Last year, he received the Most Outstanding Clinical Educator Award for a second time. This is a very important occasion, and it's a joyous one. So please feel free to applaud, or maybe hoop and holler. As the members of the class of 2019 receive their doctoral hoods and diplomas, friends, family, and all well-wishers are encouraged to help make this moment a memorable one. Okay, are you ready? For those of you who want to take photographs, the hooding will go on here, and then each student will be congratulated by the dean. We do have an official photographer here. If you stand between the photographer and the candidate, you're going to get a selfie of the back of your head. So, family members, distant relatives, friends, fans, and Calabash cousins, on behalf of the faculty of the School of Medicine, it is my privilege to present to you the members of the class of 2019.
Ahmed Ashraf Abdelhamid.
Rebecca Aguayo.
Juma Gando Ahmad.
Amna Ali.
Mitchell John Allen.
Nathan Douglas Applegren.
Madeline Barra.
Tracy Besner.
Jana Marie Binkley.
Mike Burkhead.
Sai Sonia Savita Budram.
Cole Brady Hoft.
Catherine Bridges.
Jennifer Marie Brockmeyer.
Catherine Caldwell, hooded by her father, Charles Caldwell.
Matthew Colbert, hooded by his father, William Colbert.
Corey Edward DeClue.
Breon Donaldson.
Michael Dryden.
Drake Alexander Duckworth.
Trung Jack Dung.
Aaron Duan.
Justin Stewart Earhart.
Andrea Nichelle Oaf.
Timothy Foreman.
Nathan Patrick Goodwin.
Madeline Marie Grandalski.
Rohit Reddy Gumi.
Dominic Jeffrey Hertling.
Chelsea Harris.
Zane Huh.
Drew Michael Hensel.
Katie Jean Hawker.
Cody Holmes.
Rachel Honig.
Britt Halperin.
Mackenzie Jacoby, hooded by Amy Thompson.
Linda Imperatrice Jimenez.
Emily Jean John.
Ryan Johnson.
Uzim Khan.
Michael Kim.
Brianna Diane Kruger.
Natalie Ann Kukulka, headed by her father, Peter Kukulka.
Helena Lamb.
Spencer Lambden.
Emma Catherine Libby.
Cynthia Brianne Lombardo.
Stephen Henry Lubert.
Bailey Nicole Martin.
Thomas Patrick McDonald, hooded by his father, Robert McDonald.
Matthew Thomas McClay II.
Garrett Edward Mitchell.
Sean Elizabeth Moore.
Cameron Edward Palladino.
Sarju Panchal.
Dane Christian Punites.
Jordan Elizabeth Parker.
Dharmik Patel.
Joseph Daniel Pauley.
Jamie Phelps.
Rachel Plate.
Mark Probst.
Samuel Robinson.
Laura Ann Reuter.
Elizabeth Rourke.
Galit Rudelson.
Alexis Ruffalo, hooded by her mother, Cindy Ruffalo.
Colin Marie Schaefer.
Kristen Scheitler.
Emily Sheppers.
Christina Sujin Shin.
Keela Scott.
Zachary George Selke.
Danielle Severins.
Mary Elizabeth Reed Shank.
Connor Allen Smith.
Caitlin Smith.
Meghna Srinath.
Derek Stokes.
Rebecca Tolley.
Emil Tucson.
Nicholas Storm Timmerwilke.
Aisha Maria Urezi.
Benjamin Sherwood Vega, hooded by his mother, Susan Vega.
Michael Weaver.
Hannah Jacobs Weber.
Rebecca Marie Wiesahan.
Muminat Inula Winjabi.
Carly Michelle Whitgrove, hooded by her father, Alan Whitgrove.
Jen Woodard.
Drew Young.
Young Yu. As Dean of the University of Missouri School of Medicine, Dr. Zweig, please come forward to confer their degrees on the School of Medicine, class of 2019.
It just gets better. So with the authority vested in me by the Board of Curators of the University of Missouri, it's my privilege to now formally confer upon each graduating senior the degree of Doctor of Medicine. with all of the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations, class of 2019. So yesterday, the School of Medicine held its annual honors and awards convocation, and many of these graduates were honored at that convocation, and I hope some of you family members could be present as well. It's our tradition, however, to reserve for the commencement services some very special awards that I will now announce. First is the MU School of Medicine Award, entitled the Dean's Award for Outstanding Achievement in Academic and Clinical Proficiency. And this award is given to the student with the best academic and clinical record throughout medical school. And this year, the award goes to Dr. Drew Hensel. Please come forward. Well, I don't know what I'm giving you, Drew. We did better yesterday. The next is the Holt Leadership Award, and this award is provided by two alumna of the School of Medicine, Dr. Jean and Richard Holt. Dr. Jean Holt's a faculty member at the University of Texas in San Antonio, and Dr. Richard Holt is the professor emeritus in the Department of Otolaryngology in San Antonio. And at the University of Missouri is a scholar at the Center for Health Ethics and adjunct professor in otolaryngology. So these awards are presented to the graduating students who have best exemplified the highest moral, ethical, and leadership traits, and who have served as peer role models, serving in a leadership role in student organizations and providing service to the School of Medicine and above and beyond the normal call. And the award is chosen by Drs. Jean and Richard Holt from a list provided by the Faculty Awards and Scholarship Committee. And there are two winners this year, Dr. Andrea Off and Dr. Emil Tucson. That was it. Andrea?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Emil? I think you stick around here. Emil, don't go far. There's more. It's finally the Student Leadership Award. And this award is presented to a member of the graduating class who's been selected by a vote of his or her classmates based on the following criteria: evidence of leadership qualities, peer acceptance as a potential leader in professional activities, a student who is a doer, and one who characteristically assumes leadership in the normal day-to-day activities of the student community. And this award goes to Dr. Emil Tucson. Don't go far. Emil's a busy young man. He will also close our graduation ceremony as the class speaker. Dr. Tucson. Are you supposed to get, I think you're supposed to give a speech, young man. He's gathering his materials. Thank you, Emil.
A little water. Don't test me, Aaron Duan. Hey, team. Correction. Hey, doctors. Been waiting to say that for 4 years now to all of you. Thank you so much for honoring me with the opportunity to share some thoughts with you on such a monumental day in our experience. Before I do so, similar to Aaron and Britt, I want to extend a deep thank you to family, friends, significant others, and other meaningful partners in our journeys for taking the time to not only be here celebrating with us today, but also for supporting us to this point and beyond. We need you. Without you all, it would be impossible for us to have arrived, and we are forever grateful for the sacrifices you've made for us. I'd also like to mention that I have no disclosures other than Kaplan Medical. Which offers high-quality board study materials that can be found by going to captest.com/USMLE/Emil Tucson. As I sat down to start writing down the thoughts that I wanted to share, I found myself consumed by immense nervousness. After sitting with my nerves for several moments, I realized that I was not nervous about speaking in front of you, but rather that what I had to share wouldn't be meaningful enough for a day like today. I'm realizing that's not true because my watch has told me I'm tachycardic to the 130s this entire time. So I've been pretty nervous. I began to realize that the only reason I felt such nerves in the first place was because I felt like I owe so much to all of you. I owe so much to you all simply because you've given me so much over the last several years. The best way I could think of repaying such a debt, insert Lannister references here, was to help remind you of the power you possess. When I connected with all of the emotion and high regard I have for our class, an enormous, coffee-stained smile filled my face. I thought about all the pain of learning how to do PBL, the awkward, insatiable hunger that presented itself during anatomy lab, the uneasy relinquishment of control after exams, and the unrivaled joy of partnering with patients and their families to fight disease. We knew medical school was going to be an absolute beast of an obstacle with the endless hours of studying, calculated sacrifice, and a unique road of self-discovery. As I think about the way I'll remember our class, it's largely about the resiliency that we've shown since the beginning of our training. Let me take you back to the beginning. We just finished Block 1 exams, and we were starting to get a feel for medical school. Right around the same time, there was a lot of turmoil within the university system as a whole, and big changes were being made at the highest levels of leadership. I remember the fear, angst, and questions we had as fresh fish trying to navigate through the facts. I realized our class was a force at that time because not only were we asking how the changes would impact us, but also how we could in turn impact change. Around the same time, it was revealed to us that the Liaison Committee on Medical Education, or LCME, had recommended several improvements to our medical school in order to earn full accreditation. The worry grew stronger with questions like, is all the hard work I'm putting in now only going to set me up to graduate from an institution that doesn't have full accreditation? Some of our favorite, most trusted faculty and staff from the Office of Medical Education moved to different careers, and further still, we felt uneasy. So what happened? Well, we pushed harder than we had before. We cultivated the leadership in each of us to start having open conversations about the diversity and inclusion challenges we faced at our institution. We opened our hearts and our vulnerability to new confidants in the Office of Medical Education. Although we knew we wouldn't get all of the answers about why certain personnel changes were happening, we battled through the discomfort and took care of what we could control. So where'd we wind up? Well, our institution is fully accredited. We have leaders that push themselves every day to helping us achieve our goals. And we've had tough conversations that have pushed us to be stronger. I'm proud of that. We faced changes in our curriculum as well. Remember when we were the first class to have the new CRE? For those in the audience who are not familiar, the CRE is the acronym for the Clinical Reasoning Exam, which we take at the end of each block of the first 2 years of our education. In short, it's an 8-hour-long, very scary and sweaty blackout where we attempt to make clinical diagnoses and treatment plans for theoretical patients. After finally starting to get the hang of the process of the CRE after 7 of 8 blocks, the format of the CRE was changed for our final block. Was the change very dramatic? Not really. Were we dramatic about the change? Definitely. Understandably so. So what happened? We passed the exam and got to move on to tackle third year. Right around the same time, the new Patient-Centered Care Learning Center was opening for the first and second year students. It's a beautiful, innovative building that took lots of hard work from lots of incredible people, to be fair. But there we were as third years, watching the M1s and 2s walking through the hospital, having just finished PBL in their penthouses with 60-inch TVs and windows. They had windows. Sure didn't. When we did PBL in the depths of the old building, we had no windows. Although we were disgruntled and wished we had gotten to use the PCCLC more, it didn't faze us. We powered through, and now we're the final class to graduate from this institution without having seen the light of day during PBL. As you can see, I carry that badge with pride. Now we get to say things that I personally have always wanted to say after hearing my elders use similar tones of voice. Back in my day, we used to do PBL in the bowels of the nursing school, where there was no light to be seen and cockroaches crept around in the shadows. We used to take our exams on Scantrons. Ever heard of those? The kids these days have it so nice. Yep, for those of you who are unaware, the M1s and 2s take the KB online now. I know. Unbelievable. All kidding aside, I want to be sure that we do remember how blessed we were to have the facilities we had, even if they pale in comparison to what's offered now. As things move forward, we faced other changes that we overcame. VSAS changed for away rotations. Clerkship deferment was a thing. The new scrub machine hated us. Maybe only me. And many more obstacles that we considered giants at the time, similar to what Dr. Shanker was mentioning earlier. But what happened? We took every obstacle in our way and either figured out a way to navigate around it or absolutely demolished it to get to where we wanted to go. What was that destination? It's where we are right now. At this point in writing these thoughts, I had a 3-minute, very ugly cry in my living room. Everything we've been through and all of the contributions of the faculty, staff, and each of our support systems, many of which are sitting in this room, have brought us to this very moment in time. Sit with that for a few seconds. I don't know about you all, but I wouldn't have asked for it to be any other way. I was recently fortunate enough to join an alumni meeting to share thoughts and give feedback about how our experience has been over the last 4 years. At the end of my thoughts, I reflected that I feel exceedingly well prepared for residency, and that I was very grateful for the fact that the roots of my medical education were planted very deeply at this institution. I feel well prepared, of course, due to the incredible medical training that we've received, which is something we expected coming here. What I didn't expect is that even after all of the changes and additional unforeseen battles we fought, as I mentioned previously, we're still here. This is essentially what I want to leave with each of you. The road in residency in our careers is going to be tough. It's no secret. Based on history, though, there will likely be several challenges that are unbeknownst to us. When the days are ugly and a new seemingly insurmountable challenge arises, remember that you're battle-tested and are able to persevere through any beast that rears its head. When you put your trust in yourself and are willing to lean on those around you when you can't fight alone, you can get through anything. You've done it for 4 years, you can do it for another 40. I'm so proud to have been able to stand by you for the last 4 years, which were some of the best in my life. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I'd be willing to bet on any of you to cure cancer, innovate medical technology, or even be my doctor someday. Although you know I'm going to ask you for the entire differential on everything that you tell me. In addition to thanking your support systems, be sure to thank yourself for everything you've done for you, because it's brought you right here at the doorsteps of one of the biggest goals of your life. Thank you so much for everything that you've given me, and I refuse to take this moment for granted. University of Missouri School of Medicine class of 2019, I love you. We're out.
Thanks, Emil. That was a great message. And we are planning on making the fourth year a whole lot better for next year's class. But before we finish, I want to particularly thank all of the School of Medicine staff that helped to make this event possible and for all the support that they provided to our educational programs during the last 4 years of our students' time here. And I want to also thank the Missouri Saxophone Quartet for their musical talent. And we're really happy that you could be here with us today. And this concludes the School of Medicine commencement ceremony for 2019. Congratulations.